So before X-Men the animated series, I did some research. There is a pilot called Pryde of the X-Men. Did you have any involvement in making that?
Nope, we did. Larry did. Will did. A wonderful artist named Rick Hoberg did. And Margaret Loesch, who made this all possible, who was the lady that made this all possible at Fox Kids, did. But the story behind that is just shows you how weird a world it was back then. In the early '80s, Margaret was working at uh,
Marvel
Marvel
Productions,
Productions with Stan Lee.
which was a
Wow.
small operation here in Los Angeles that was just doing piecemeal work, producing animation
They were
for other
and
people.
they produced really wonderful shows, but the networks, who were the only people that would be buying these shows, had no interest in the X-Men. They just thought, oh, no, nobody's going to watch these superhero stuff. Come on. Margaret stopped pitching it. But every year she'd pitch X-Men and she'd pitch Batman. And they just say, oh, no, Margaret, come on. She And so she could never get them to produce a show. She was so sure the X-Men would be a good show that she took money. She was working on another show and only produced 12 episodes for them. It took the money that was going to go for the 13th one and made Pryde of the X-Men just on the
Mm.
side. I don't know who she okayed that with.
I'm not
Or
sure
if-
she did,
I
quite
think she just
honestly.
flat out took it, made it, and got Will and Larry and her best people to do it and said, here, look how wonderful, to the NBC, CBS, and ABC, the big buyers. Look how wonderful X-Men can be. It's a perfect kid show. And they looked at Pryde of the X-Men and said, you know.
No,
And so it didn't work. They just didn't, they somehow, they're talented people, but that one didn't come together.
in defense of everybody, Margaret and Larry and Will and everyone you've mentioned, there were people above them in this production that were too many cooks in the kitchen stirring the pot.
Yeah.
For example, if you go back and look at Pryde of the X-Men, and this one just this one kills me. Wolverine, still cool. He has an Australian accent.
Welcome her. Wait, she's not joining the X-Men, is she? She's just a kid. Wolverine.
I noticed that.
Okay, all right, okay.
But he's from Canada. What's with the Australian accent? And the reason?
One of the executives above these people said, "You know what? The number one movie in the world right now is Crocodile Dundee. Tell you what, give Wolverine an Australian accent. The kids will love it. They'll love it." And Margaret was not in a position to say no. Neither was Will Mineo, neither. But it was that.
Larry, they couldn't, they hated it. They hated it.
But it was that kind of decision making above them that kind of tanked the project.
Yeah, the people above them kind of were trying to make a commercial and didn't really didn't really have a handle on writing a really good character story. So what you ended up with is a beautifully animated 22-minute commercial
Yeah.
for the X-Men. It's mostly and the title of it's Pryde. Yeah, that's Kitty Pryde. If you don't know the X-Men, whatever. For whatever reason, the network that they sold it to didn't much care for it. They put it on, like at 3 p.m. some Sunday and forgot about it. And so it aired, but no one, the people buying it didn't like it. When Margaret got to be head of Fox Kids in 1991, and she went to her boss and said, my number one thing is I want to get a crew together and do an X-Men show. And he looked at the comic books. He said, why these are kind of fierce and nasty and adult and dark, and why would our poor audience, like 6 to 11-year-old kids, want to watch this stuff? I don't want this on my network. And she insisted, and he finally said, fine, I'll let you do it, but
I'll give you 13 episodes.
I'll give
That's all you get.
I'll give you the first season, and I'm going to get you, bring in your contract here. I'm going to get you to redo your contract so that if this isn't a hit like you swear it's going to be, you're done. Your job's on the line on this lady. And she said,
Wow.
fine.
And
cool.
she did it.
I'm in. I'm all in.
She
Come
risked
on,
it all for that.
Bring the contract in. I'm ready. And she did, and she risked it, and she won, and she got this.
We won.
And we all won. We had our lives turned around by this woman's commitment to doing an X-Men show.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she stood by us during the 9 months from the time we started till when it came on the air. She, people were pressuring her, saying, "Oh, make it younger, make it sillier, make it funnier, dumb it down. This is way too challenging for children." And she'd back us up, and we'd say, "Hell no, we're gonna make it fit the books. If you didn't like the books, don't, why are you doing this?" And she stood by fought all those fights. So of course, as soon as it comes on the air, it's a #1 hit, everybody shuts up. That's everybody loves a winner. So for the next 4 years, we didn't get any trouble, but all the way up to the time it premiered and was successful, she had pressure and we had pressure to change the show around.
Wow. Shout out to Margaret for never folding and doubling down on what she wanted to do.
100%. You are 100% correct on that.